The plate of steaming jollof rice hit the tiled floor with a slap, scattering orange grains across the marble like tiny flames. Before anyone could blink, Chike Okoro, tall, handsome, and dressed in a sleek navy suit, grabbed the pot from the counter, tilted it, and poured a cascade of hot rice straight onto his mother's head. "I don't eat poor food," he shouted, his voice echoing through the mansion kitchen. For a second, the world stopped. His mother, Mama Ifeoma, stood trembling, her face a portrait of shock and heartbreak. She had cooked it herself, with hands that once carried him through poverty, back when they sold roasted corn by the roadside in Enugu. Now her son, the man she'd sacrificed everything for, stood before her dripping in arrogance. His wife, Adora, gasped, covering her mouth. Their housemaid froze, unsure whether to clean the mess or comfort the crying woman. "What has come over you, Cheek?" Mama Ifeoma whispered, rice clinging to her hair. Cheek turned away, disgusted. "You think I'll serve my guests this nonsense? We're not living in the village anymore, Mama. I told you to order from the catering service." Adaora's eyes darted between them, fear and guilt flashing in equal measure. She knew this explosion wasn't about food. It was about control, humiliation, and the widening cracks in their marriage. When Mama Ifeoma finally left the kitchen, her dignity left with her. She whispered, "God sees all, my son," before limping upstairs. Adara approached slowly. "You went too far," she murmured. Cheek's glare cut through her. "Don't start, Adara. She disrespected me. I built this house. She doesn't tell me what's right for my home." Adora wanted to speak, but she hesitated. Because the truth, one she dared not confess, was that she had fed his ego like a drug. She had pushed him to believe he was above everyone. Now that arrogance was consuming the man she married. Hours later, the mansion fell silent. Chike sat alone in the living room, scrolling through his phone, reading messages from Nkechi, the woman he had been secretly seeing for months. "I miss you, my king," she had written. "Adaora will never treat you like the man you are." He smiled faintly. Upstairs, Adaora was wide awake, her phone glowing under the sheets. A message from an unknown number blinked. "I have what you asked for. The pictures will destroy him." Outside, thunder rolled across the Lagos night, echoing through the marble walls of their perfect home. A home about to shatter from the inside. And as Mama Ifeoma knelt beside her bed, praying for her son, she had no idea that her humiliation was just the beginning of something darker. Something that would turn this mansion of pride into a courtroom of secrets. What would you do if your own child humiliated you like this? Hit like if you've ever felt betrayed, and comment below where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe to African Tales Vault for more gripping African stories like this. What do you think happens next? Open the door, Mama. Please. Morning light leaked under the guest room door where Mama Ifeoma had locked herself after the kitchen scene. Adora stood outside with a bowl of warm water and a towel. When the latch turned, the older woman's eyes were swollen but steady. "I am fine, my daughter," Mama Ifeoma said, even though her hands trembled. "I have seen worse days in Enugu. Poverty taught me patience." Adara cleaned the rice grains from the older woman's hair in silence. The quiet was heavy, full of domestic betrayal and shame. "He shouldn't have done that," Adara whispered. I'm sorry." Mama Ifeoma studied her. "You are not the one who poured the rice, Adara. But you know the heat in this house." Downstairs, Cheek barked instructions into his phone. "Yes, caterers only, and make the table look expensive." He ended the call and adjusted his cufflinks, preparing for a lunch meeting with investors. He was ambitious. Half Lagos called him a rising star, but pride was chewing his heart like cola nut. On his way out, he paused at the staircase as he saw Adaora guiding his mother back to bed. "Mama, rest," he said flatly. "This afternoon is important. We'll host like civilized people." Mama Ifeoma's voice was quiet. "My son, civilization without respect is noise." He exhaled. "Enough speeches." He left, tires spitting gravel across the driveway. The quiet returned, but it was not peace. Idaora's phone vibrated. "Meet me at Palm's parking lot. Noon. The envelope is ready." "D." She glanced toward the door, guilt catching in her throat. Infidelity in marriage wasn't the only sin in this house. Emotional manipulation lived here too. She wasn't blameless, but she was tired. tired of a cheating spouse who called himself a king, tired of the lies, the whispers, the African marriage drama that made her feel invisible. At noon, she met a slim man in a cap near the mall's taxi rank. He handed her a brown envelope. The photos, screenshots, bank traces, your husband and the woman, Nkechi, hotel receipts in his company name. Offshore transfers too. Everything. Adora's chest tightened. How much do I owe you? Balance after the reveal, the man said. And Adora, be careful. Men like your husband don't lose quietly. Back home, she hid the envelope inside a stack of cookbooks. Her hands were still shaking when Mama Ifeoma walked into the kitchen. Daughter, the older woman said, I do not know the details, but I know a storm when I smell one. Adora swallowed. If a man disgraces his mother and his wife, should everyone continue pretending? Mama Ifeoma sighed. Truth is a knife. The hand that holds it must know where to cut. Remember, there is co-parenting conflict ahead if you turn this house into a battlefield. Before Adara could answer, the gate intercom buzzed. Cheek's voice crackled. Open! I'm back with the investors. The staff scrambled. Silver trays, tall glasses, laughter forced into the air. Cheek swept in with two men in tailored suits and a woman in a red dress, Nkechi. She smiled like a thorned rose, her perfume walking ahead of her. Adora froze. Why is she here? Cheeky didn't blink. She handles PR. She's part of the team. Mama Ifeoma stepped from the hallway, wrapper tied tight. Your PR entered a married house? She asked softly. Hey, Cheek. Please, Mama, Cheek said with a tight smile for the guests. Don't start. Let's be professional. The lunch began, clinking cutlery over a table that looked like it belonged to strangers. Adora sat in silence, studying Chike and Nkechi trading low smiles. When the investors stepped to the balcony, Adora stood. Since we are being professional, she said, voice shaking but clear, let's review some business receipts. She placed the brown envelope on the table and slid out a stack of glossy photos. Cheek's smile died. The image showed him and Nkechi hand in hand at a hotel in Victoria Island, time-stamped last week. Another sheet showed bank transfers to a private account labeled Nkechi Media. A third page carried messages. My king, our weekend is booked. Nkechi's face hardened. Chike reached across the table, but Adara snatched back the papers and turned to the balcony door. Investors, she called, voice ringing. You should hear how our revenge story ends before you write any checks. The balcony doors slid open. The investors returned with curious eyes. Cheek stepped forward, jaw clenched. Adara, put it away. Adara lifted the last page, a printout of an offshore account seeded with company funds. Ask him whose name is on this. Cheek lunged, grabbing for the document. Just as the house intercom screamed again. A guard's panicked voice exploded through the speaker. Sir, there are police at the gate with a warrant for financial misconduct. If this were your home, would you expose the truth at the table or protect the family name? Comment your thoughts on the betrayal and subscribe to African Tales Vault for the next chapter. Like and share if you're following this cheating spouse showdown. Everyone stay where you are. Two officers swept into the living room, boots thudding on the marble. The investors stiffened. Nkechi slipped her phone into her clutch. Cheeky squared his shoulders, the same pride that had poured rice on his mother now hardening his jaw. What is the meaning of this? He demanded. This is a private residence. The taller officer produced a folded paper. Warrant to search, suspected diversion of company funds. We'll be respectful, sir. Please sit. Mama Ifeoma stood at the doorway, eyes red but steady. Adora folded her arms over her trembling chest. This wasn't a victory dance, it was survival. The air smelled like citrus polish and fear. The officers separated devices and files. One gestured at the brown envelope on the table. Whose is this? Adora inhaled. Mine. She kept her voice calm. Evidence of domestic betrayal, infidelity in marriage, and possible financial misconduct. Cheek barked a laugh. You're embarrassing yourself. This is a board matter, not police. Board matter? One investor murmured. glancing at the photos of Machiki and Nkechi, holding hands outside a hotel. This is a reputational crisis. Nkechi touched Chiki's sleeve. Let me handle PR. Don't touch me, he snapped, fear cracking through. No one touches anything. A younger officer returned from the study with a hard drive and a thin folder. Sir, we found shell company invoices in the desk. Names match the transfers on these printouts. He tapped the paper Adora had provided. We'll take statements at the station. Cheek forced a smile. Of course you will. My lawyer will destroy this. He turned to Adora. You think this is a revenge? You don't know what you've started. Sit down, Cheek, Mama Ifeoma said softly. Humility will not kill you. For a heartbeat, the room stilled. It was the first time since the kitchen humiliation that mother and son shared one breath. Cheek didn't sit. He pointed at Adora. You did this because you can't keep a home. Always nagging, always counting receipts. You hate my success. Adora stepped forward, heat rising to her face. I hate when emotional manipulation. I hate how you made your mother cry. I hate the cheating spouse and wife you became. If success means public disgrace, keep it. An officer cleared his throat. We're taking Mr. Okoro for questioning. Nkechi's phone buzzed. She glanced down, swallowed, and took 2 steps back from Cheek. I have to make a call. Stay, the officer said. We'll need your statement too, madam. As they led Cheek toward the door, he twisted to glare at Adora. You think you'll keep the house? The cars? Over my dead body? And if you imagine you'll take Kamsi with you, think again. At the mention of their 4-year-old son, the room's tension shifted to co-parenting conflict. Adora's throat tightened. Don't drag him into your mess, Cheek smirked. The court will hear how you hired a fixer to spy on me. Child custody judges don't like schemers. Adora steadied herself. The court will hear how a husband turned his home into a hotel lobby and his wife into a ghost. The officers guided Chike outside. As he passed the foyer, the housemaid handed Mama Ifeoma a small, dust-covered envelope she had found while cleaning the guest room, old with a faded stamp. Madam, this was tucked under the wardrobe. Mama Ifeoma opened it with shaking fingers. A deed of transfer slid into her palm. Land in Enugu, signed to Chike. Long ago, with a marginal note in their late father's handwriting. For school, for business, never for pride. Adora read the note, stunned. Where did this come from? Mama Ifeoma blinked back tears. Your father anticipated a storm. She looked up, resolve hardening. Adora, if the company collapses, this land can pay staff salaries for months. We will not let Lagos eat us. Outside, a car door slammed. An investor's phone rang loudly in the sudden quiet. He answered, face draining. Chike, he said into the room, your office is being sealed. Compliance raid, and the registrar just flagged a marriage registry visit. Someone filed a notice of intended marriage covering with your name. And it isn't Adora. Nkechi's face blanched. What? The investor stared. Adora's heart stumbled. Infidelity. Wasn't just an affair, it was a plan. From the driveway, Chiki shouted through the open door as the patrol car rolled. Tell them I'll be back by evening. A second siren wailed. Closer, angrier. Another police truck turned into the compound, brakes squealing. The lead officer stepped out holding a sealed brown file and called into the house. We have a daughter's new warrant. This one is for Nkechi Nwankwo, tourism. Should Adaora protect the business or let it crash to teach Cheek a lesson? Comment your thoughts. Darren, Anna, like this video if the twists shocked you. Subscribe to African Tales Vault and turn on notifications. Madam Nkechi Nwankwo, you're under arrest. The second team of officers moved with clinical calm. Nkechi stuttered, mascara trembling at the edge of her lashes. On what grounds? The lead officer lifted the sealed file. Fraudulent PR contracts, shell companies, and a notice of intended marriage filed while knowing the groom is legally married. We'll discuss at the station. The investors backed away. One whispered, this is finished. The first team drove off with Chikaki. The second escorted Nkechi through the foyer. Mama Ifeoma stood like a small hill wearing a wrapper and resolve. Adaora exhaled for the first time in hours. The storm outside softened to drizzle, Lagos blinking through low cloud like wet glass. When the compound quieted, mother and daughter-in-law sat at the dining table among half-eaten canapes, the ruins of a perfect image. The air smelled of pineapple and fear. I didn't want public disgrace, Adaora said at last. I wanted truth. Truth is not disgrace. Pride is, Mama Ifeoma replied. But storms don't end themselves. We must choose what to save. She placed the Inugu land deed between them. Your father wrote, never for pride, then let it be for people. Staff salaries, drivers, cleaners. You cannot build a war revenge story on hunger. Adaora nodded, wiping her face. We'll call HR. If shit an African marriage drama explodes online, at least our workers will eat. She reached for her phone. The screen flashed with headlines already simmering. Cheating spouse exposed, investors flee, Lagos tycoon arrested. The comments throbbed with heat. Domestic betrayal, infidelity in marriage, not emotional manipulation, the internet's favorite festival. They drove to a quiet law office in Lekki. The lawyer, barrister Funmi Adeyemi, listened, chin in steepled fingers. We'll create a temporary trust from the Enugu land for payroll. File for an injunction to protect marital property while the financial and legal investigations proceed. As for co-parenting conflict, request an interim order. Kamsi remains with you until the court hears evidence. Adaora's eyes softened. Thank you. Funmi's gaze hardened. But guard your phone. If Cheeks Camp leaks anything to throw mud, they'll aim for you, not him. On the drive back, traffic knotted around Palms Mall. Hawkers tapped the window with gala and bottled water. A radio host dissected the scandal over Afro beats. Mama Ifeoma bought bananas through the glass and passed one to Adaora, the old tenderness returning in small, warm gestures. At home, the house felt unfamiliar. Rooms too quiet, mirrors too honest. Adaora went to the kitchen, picked up the pot Chike had flung aside, and washed it with deliberate care. The sound of water against steel was the first piece she'd heard all day. The intercom buzzed. A gentle voice. Good afternoon, madam. School security here. May we confirm, is Uncle Sagun authorized to collect Konkamsi today? He brought a letter signed by Mr. Okoro. Adora's blood iced. No, absolutely not. Keep my son with his teacher. I'm on my way. She hung up and dialed the lawyer. Cheek is trying to move Kamsi. Go now, Funmi said. I'll alert the family court duty judge. Adora grabbed her keys. Mama Ifeoma lifted her walking stick. I'm coming. Traffic roared like a river. They cut through back streets. The mechanic yard in Oniru, the Suya stand smoking behind a kiosk. A cluster of women in Ankara laughing beneath plastic umbrellas. Lagos lived as if Scandal were only another song on the playlist. The school gate appeared. Blue, solid, guarded. Adaora ran, breath ragged. The security man met her halfway, relief in his eyes. Madam, we kept him with Madam Zainab. But the man brought proof. He held out a glossy birth certificate. Kamsi's name, Adaora's name, and a father's name that wasn't Chike Okoro. Madam, the guard whispered, confused, this paper says another man is Kamsi's legal father. And that man is already here. Who signed that? Adora's voice cut the air like broken glass. A man in a crisp caftan stepped from the reception doorway, chin raised. Sigun Alada, he said, tapping the glossy birth certificate. The legal father. I'm here for my son. The devil is a liar, Mama Ifeoma hissed, planting her walking stick between them. That boy bears my husband's eyes. The head teacher, Madam Zainab, ushered them into her office, calm but firm. No child leaves until this is verified. Lagos has rules. She scanned the certificate again, frowning at the serial number. Who issued this? Sigan smiled thinly. Registry in Suralera. Verified this morning. Adora hit dial. Barrister, Funmi. The school says a man is here with papers calling himself Kamsi's father. The name isn't Chaiki. Keep the child in the building, Funmi said over the line. Text me a photo of the certificate. Now. Adara snapped the image and sent it. Her palms were damp. Behind the door, she could hear Kamsi's class singing Jerusalema, their little voices bright and innocent, as if African marriage drama couldn't seep under school gates. Madame Zainab turned to Segun. We require the mother's consent or a valid court order. Do you have either? Segun produced a letter, signed by Mr. Chike Okoro, and authorizing me to collect the boy. As for the father's name, he lifted the certificate. This speaks louder. Adora's breath caught. Domestic betrayal, twisted into a fresh shape. Co-parenting conflict, sharpened into a blade. You're Chike's man, she said. He's using you to steal my child. Segun's eyes flashed. Madam, some secrets simply come home. Mama Ifeoma stepped forward, steady despite the tremor in her hands. Young man, let me look at you. Her gaze swept him. You are not blood to us. You are a Meksha messenger. Funmi's text arrived. Don't release. Serial belongs to a 2017 deceased infant. Forged. A second message. Emergency interim custody order filed. Judge signed. Emailing PDF. Show the school. Adora thrust the screen to Madame Zainab, shoulders shaking with relief. Forgery. And we have the interim order. Kamsi stays with me. The head teacher read the order carefully, then looked up, face iron. Mr. Alade, you will wait outside. The child will not be released to you. Segun's smirk soured. Court orders can be overturned by noon, he muttered, backing out. Adora sagged into the chair, tears pricking. Mama Ifeoma rubbed her shoulder. Strength, daughter. Pride falls. Truth stands. Before relief could settle, sirens wailed. Blue light washed the reception. Chikadus strode in, flanked by a lawyer and two officers, suit rumpled, ego intact. Cameras from a gossip blog trailed him like hyenas. Madame Zainab, he announced, stand down. I have our new papers. He slapped a sealed envelope on the desk. DNA report. Dated last month. Result, Chike Okoro excluded as biological father. As husband, I have standing to keep the child pending paternity determination. As mother, his eyes sliced to Adora, you will explain your infidelity to a judge. Adora went cold. You did a test without telling me? Cheek's smile was winter. A king confirms his bloodline. The officer lifted the report, scanning the letterhead. It looked legitimate. Too neat, too ready. The room tilted. Even the children's singing seemed to fade down a long corridor. Funmi's call buzzed. Adara answered on speaker. Do not surrender the child, the lawyer said. I'm petitioning to 1 impound Yasakshidu that report. Chain of custody is rotten. Also, newsflash, the Suralera registrar who issued that birth certificate is already suspended. We have their email. Cheek leaned in, whispering for Adora's ears alone. You want a revenge story? Oh, you just got one. By sunset, Lagos will know whose boy he is. The office door opened. Little Kamsi peeked in, clutching a crayon sun. Mummy? Every adult froze. The officer cleared his throat. Until we reconcile these documents, the child must remain on site. Cheek's lawyer slid a second paper across the desk. Or with the father, named in this affidavit. Which father? Madame Zainab asked, voice tight. The lawyer tapped a signature at the bottom, bold, unapologetic, Segun Alad, and beneath it, countersigned by a witness whose name sucked the air out of the room, Nkechi Nwankwo. Should the school release Kamsi or hold him until the court sorts this mess? Was the DNA result planted? Comment your thoughts on this betrayal. Smash, like, and subscribe to African Tales Vault. The next twist is coming. Turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Chapter 6. The courtroom door swung wide like a drumbeat. People turned. Adora stepped in with Mama Ifeoma. Embarrassed her Funmi, faces set, headscarves straight. Opposite them, Chikno sat stiff beside his lawyer, a storm in a navy suit. Segun waited 2 rows back, jaw tight, while a blogger whispered play-by-play into her phone. African marriage drama had found an audience. Judge Reiniu Amehi adjusted her glasses. Emergency hearing. Child safety and interim custody. Counsel, proceed. Funmi rose. My lord, we have 3 issues. Forged birth certificate, tainted DNA, and an attempted removal of a minor from school. Classic emotional manipulation. And co-parenting conflict is used as weapons. Chike's lawyer stood. My lord, we have a clean DNA result excluding my client. Funmi slid a folder to the bailiff. Chain of custody break. The lab courier's route log shows a detour to a restaurant in Surulere. She pointed to a printed map, where he met Siguna Lady, cunning CCTV stills attached. The same day the suspended registrar issued that false certificate. My lord, this is financial and legal revenge, not science. Judge Amay studied the documents. Mr. Alade, approach. Segun swaggered to the front. Funmi clicked a remote. The screen lit with a grainy video. A courier handing a small cooler to a man in a cap. Segun, who passed it back minutes later. Another slide, bank statements. Transfers from Okoro Holdings. PR budget is to a shell called Aramu Concepts, Funmi said. Aramu pays the lab consultant and Mr. Alade. Signature on the release? Witnessed by Nkechi Nwankwo. A hiss moved through the gallery. Cheek's jaw clenched. My lord, this is an ambush. Truth is never an ambush, Mama Ifeoma said quietly from the gallery. It is simply late to people who run. Judge Ame lifted her gavel. Interim order. The child, Kamsi, remains with his mother, Adora Okoro. Restraining order against removal by any party, including agents. Mr. Alad, you will surrender your passport. Court will issue summons to Ms. Nwankwo. Funmi exhaled. Adara gripped the bench, relief washing through, then fear returning like a tide. Chike leaned forward, voice low and sharp. You think you've won? Lagos doesn't forget a woman who lies about paternity. Funmi's phone buzzed. She glanced down, eyes widening. My lord, an email from the lab's compliance officer. She read quickly. Internal audit state samples were mislabeled after an external instruction. Corrected result attached. She lifted the page. Result, Chike Okoro cannot be excluded. High probability he is the biological father. The room erupted. Gasps, murmurs, a chair scraping hard. Cheek's lawyer froze. Segun's face drained. Judge Amay hammered once. Silence. The corrected report will be sealed pending full verification. But today's ruling stands. Cheek turned on Segun, voice a shred. You promised me a clean cut, Segun spat back. You told me it was already true. Funmi packed the files. We'll serve the injunction on the company tonight. If Mr. Okoro tries to move funds again, the public disgrace will make him a case study. Adara felt the first fragile breath of daylight. Then her phone rang, the school's number flashing like a siren. She answered. A trembling voice filled the line. Madam, I'm so sorry. There was a false alarm. Smoke from the generator room. In the confusion, the woman gulped. Kamsi is missing. The floor tilted beneath Adara. What do you mean missing? We locked the gates, the teacher rushed on. But CCTV shows someone in a nurse's jacket taking him through the side exit. The car's plate, paper rustled, a whisper of terror. It comes back to Okoro Logistics Fleet. Every eye in court swung to Cheek. His face was empty, then full, then empty again. Judge Ama's voice cut the air. Inspector, lock this building. Mr. Okoro, you are not leaving. Counsel, call the anti-kidnapping unit now. The blogger's phone slipped from her hand and clattered on the tile. Idara clutched the bench, heart punching her ribs. Mama Ifeoma whispered one word that felt like both a prayer and a blade. Bring him back. Blue lights carved the courthouse steps as the anti-kidnapping unit sprang into motion. Adora's phone rang with a number she didn't know. She answered, breath held. A calm woman spoke. Your son is safe. Don't panic. 30 minutes. St. Dominic's Parish Clinic. Yaba. Come with the police only. The line cut. Track the ping, the inspector ordered. 2 SUVs peeled into traffic. Chica tried to follow. The judge's marshal stopped him at the doors. Mama Ifeoma gripped her rosary, lips moving, eyes fierce. Yaba's morning traffic parted like cloth. At the clinic gate, a matron waited. Inside, she said, quietly. Down a lane smelling of dettle and bread from a nearby kiosk, Kamsi sat on a cot, hugging a teddy bear. Adara folded around him, sobs breaking loose. The inspector scanned the room. One nurse, the matron, and, standing in the shadow of a curtain, Mama Ifeoma's longtime driver. Ugo! Sir, the inspector said. Explain. Ugo swallowed. Madam called me after a market woman warned that a nurse asked about Kamsi's dismissal time. Madam told me to trigger a false alarm with the generator smoke and get the boy out under cover, straight to church hands. I used an Okoro Logistics pool car because the school security knows those plates and won't argue. He looked at Adora. Forgive me for the fright. We feared Osigan. Still had people near the school. Adora turned to Mama Ifeoma, stunned. Mama, you planned this? The older woman stepped forward, chin lifted. I will not lose another child to Lagos pride. I saved my grandson from both your enemies and my son's foolishness. Back at court, the truth unfurled quickly. CCTV of the nurse tied to Aramu Concepts. A warrant sailed for Son Segun. He was picked up near Costain. A summons hit Nkechi at the station. The lab's compliance report landed in the court file. The forged birth certificate became Exhibit A in a new case. Judge Amaratius delivered the orders with clean strokes. Interim full custody to Medora. Supervised visitation. 4 Chikarim. No contact from third parties. Financial injunctions remain. Criminal investigations proceed. She paused, then looked at Cheek. And now, your mother. Mama Ifeoma stood, small but unshakable. My lord, I won't jail my son. I ask for restorative justice. He poured rice on my head in public disgrace. Let him feed the public with his hands and learn humility. She faced Cheek. 7 Saturdays. Tinubu Square. Oyingbo. Mile Tupeosai. Yaba. Ojuelegba. Ijesha. Aja. You will cook jollof for elders, widows, market women. You will serve with your head bare. You will apologize properly. A murmur rippled through the gallery like wind through raffia. That weekend, Lagos gathered. Drummers stitched the morning to the street. Cameras hovered. In a white apron, Chikinano lifted a heavy pot and served plates to women who reminded him of the road he had tried to forget. When he reached Mama Ifeoma, he dropped to his knees, eyes wet. I disgraced you. I disgraced our name. Forgive me, Mama. He lifted a calabash of water, clear as morning, and washed the rice grains from her scarf himself. The crowd went quiet. Even the bloggers lowered their lenses. Then came the final cut. In full view, Mama Ifeoma signed the Enugu land into a payroll trust for staff, naming Adora as trustee. For people, not pride, she said. Cheek, until you finish your Saturdays and the court clears your hands, you inherit nothing. Let your work speak first. He bowed his head. Yes, Mama. That night, under soft high life in the kitchen, Adora placed a steaming pot of jollof on the table. Kamsi climbed onto a stool. Chiki, hat in hand, stood in the doorway. I'll learn, he said. From the floor up. From the heart up, Mama replied, breaking one grain between her fingers like a vow. Was this ending justice or mercy or both? Should restorative punishment replace prison in rare domestic betrayal? In horny cases. Comment your thoughts, like, and subscribe to African Tales Vault for more. African marriage drama. Cheating spouse, one twist and one revenge stories that heal as they burn. Turn on notifications so you never miss a chapter.